Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Pirate, L, the six-eyed Susanoo, I am the strongest. Chapter 41. Kid, just wait for me. The Shichibukai meeting ended and everyone left one after another. Mariah did not forget to say harsh words to Kurosawa before leaving. Although Moria knew it very well, being praised by Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku on the spot had basically established Kurosawa Mariah's unshakable position in Marine. As long as Sengoku remains in power, anyone who wants to touch Kurosawa must consider whether he can withstand the wrath of a Marine Fleet Admiral. But when you are in the world, how can you not say some harsh words? You can't lose face. Kurosawa, I'm looking forward to your performance. After Bartholomew Big Bear finished speaking, he slowly left with his book in his arms. After today's events, he already had a general view of Kurosawa. His evaluation is, if he does not fall early, he will definitely be the mainstay of the times. Gia ha ha ha. Kurosawa, just Shichibukai. Gia ha ha ha. Blackbeard has a big belly. It can be said that he was drinking and eating meat from beginning to end in the banquet hall this time. He was truly full of wine and food. Kurosawa glanced at Teach. Those eyes made him extremely uncomfortable at such a distance. The biggest careerist in the One Piece world was about to reveal his ferocious features. As a human spirit, Blackbeard Teach can naturally see the undisguised disgust in Kurosawa's eyes, but it doesn't matter, so what about disgust? In his opinion, as long as they have common interests, they can become partners. The words, Shichibukai, are very suitable to Teach's taste. What is Shichibukai? Even 4 emperors is not the end of his teaching. Teach, his black beard, wants to be the only king of this world. Only short-sighted guys would be bound by a title like Shichibukai, Jhaha. A pair of eyes widened, and the black-bearded Teach smiled evilly. How about it, do you want to do it with me? Go away, you don't deserve it. Kurosawa's words were cold. Even if he chose to become a pirate, he would not bother to be with someone like Blackbeard Teach. Gia ha ha, what a pity. Blackbeard Teach showed a cruel smile and then left. Foo-foo, boy, you are really high profile. Doflamingo, wearing a flamingo feather coat and pink high heels, walked past Kurosawa with a figure-footed step and his hands in his pockets. Kurosawa was a little speechless about this guy. When it comes to being high profile, who can be more high profile than you, Doflamingo? Doflamingo, out of kindness, I will tell you a piece of news for free. Oh, Kurosawa raised his eyebrows. He was very curious about the news about the Joker in the underground world. Foo-foo-foo. Doflamingo slowly walked to Kurosawa, leaned into his ear and whispered in a deep voice, someone is already targeting you, you'd better be careful. Who? There must be a lot of people targeting me now. Kurosawa's expression remained unchanged. Foo-foo-foof. CP0, can you hear me? Doflamingo said mysteriously. Kurosawa's expression became stern when he heard this, and the dangerous aura made Doflamingo feel a little uncomfortable. After pondering for a moment, Kurosawa slowly said, you want to kill me? Foo-foo-foo, I thought you, a fearless guy like you, wouldn't believe me. That's all I can tell you, but don't say it was me who revealed it to you. With these words, Doflamingo walked away in a swagger. Seeing that arrogant movement, Kurosawa resisted the urge to draw his sword and chop him. Your information is useful to me, and I will consider saving your life in the future. Hearing this, Doflamingo paused and turned his head slightly. There seemed to be blue veins popping up on his forehead. Foo-foo-foo, what an arrogant brat. Having said that, Doflamingo left without looking back. In his opinion, although Kurosawa was very strong, it was still many years too early for him to grow to the point where he could threaten him. He climbed out from the pile of dead people and experienced a real mountain of corpses and seas of blood. Now he is the largest arms supplier in the entire underground world and a transit station in the underground world. The White Road has the identity of a celestial dragon, and the underworld is backed by 4 emperors Kaido. Want to touch him? Who is so stupid? Da da da. The tall and thin figure walked slowly, feeling the sharp aura of the person behind him. Kurosawa knew who it was without having to guess. Mihawk, who has always been cold-faced, showed a rare smile. Kurosawa, your sword is very interesting. I hope you won't disgrace it. Kurosawa also smiled back. That's natural. I will take this knife and stand at the top of the world. Mahawk was startled when he heard this. His sharp hawk eyes stared at those blue eyes, as if he was talking about an everyday thing. With this knife, stand at the top of the world. Kurosawa's words shocked everyone around him. Saying such words in front of the world's greatest swordsman, the meaning is self-evident. Very good, I'm looking forward to it. Mahawk's smile widened even more. Apart from Shanks, he hadn't faced an opponent worthy of all his efforts for a long time. 7 warlords of the sea are special pirates selected through high-level discussions and layers of government discussions to deal with the current situation. Warring states came over with a serious voice, followed by Lieutenant General He. Kurosawa, Sengoku Fleet Admiral. Kurosawa, you have great potential, but this time your opponent is different from before. What marine is facing is the most powerful pirate group in the world today. Their captain Whitebeard, if no one stops him, he can overthrow Marinavando by himself. You may think I'm joking, but the real top powerhouses have the ability to destroy heaven and earth. Looking at the serious Sengoku, Kurosawa knew how much pressure the Marine Fleet Admiral was facing at this time. However, Sengoku still believed in himself, and despite the huge pressure, he had to build himself into the benchmark of Marine in the new era. Of course, risks and benefits coexist, and he will inevitably receive more attention from all forces in the future, but no one will refuse his request. In this war with the Whitebeard pirates, you will be responsible for the pirates below the captain level. The rest will be handled by the lieutenant generals and generals. What you need to do is to learn experience from the war, don't be in a hurry. Quote, the future is the stage for you to perform. Warring states looked at Kurosawa with a hopeful look on his face and said earnestly. Kurosawa responded with a military salute, understood, Sengoku Fleet Admiral. Seeing Kurosawa's appearance, Sengwo was very satisfied. Finally we have a reliable successor. At least he's not like those fools like Garp and Kuzan who like to cause trouble and cause headaches. Whitebeard, let's fight. Why should first, Marine, be afraid of you? Bala bala bala, Baga, Huo Shaoshan, Moxie Moxie, Warring States Fleet Admiral, Morgans have communicated well. Hearing this, Sengoku showed a mysterious smile, are you ready? Kurosawa, on the headlines tomorrow. The huge whale head and the eye-catching white-bearded skull pattern on the mast are known to everyone in New World. This is the exclusive symbol of the Emperor of the Sea, white-bearded Newgate. Compared to the Marine headquarters, which is constantly gathering troops and showing the seriousness before a huge war, the atmosphere on the Moby at this time seems a bit relaxed. Dad, don't you think that strange bird is letting us go? An extremely strong man wearing cloth armor spoke with a powerful voice. After hearing Diamond George's words, the delinquent with a bunch of pineapple yellow hair on his head had a bad look in his eyes. Haha, no one in this sea has the guts to treat our Whitebeard pirates like this. There are tattoos on his chest that are exclusive to the Whitebeard pirates, and the lines of his abdominal muscles are particularly clear. If it weren't for the tricky yellow hair shape, I don't know how many girls would be fascinated. If you really dare to do this, I wouldn't mind going to the newspaper office in person to make him a roasted bird. Gu la la la. Marco, don't be so excited. Really, it's not good for young people to be so murderous all the time. In the middle position, a giant-like figure is sitting on a chair. Numerous needles are inserted into the giant's body to infuse it. Judging from the speed of the liquid flow, his physical condition is probably not optimistic. If it were an ordinary person, he would be able to stay awake only in a dream. However, even in such a physical condition, the white-bearded Newgate still drank heavily regardless of dissuasion, causing worry to the beautiful nurse and all his sons beside him. Dad, how many times have I told you, drink less wine? Foil Beasta's eyebrows were knitted together. Although Marco on the side did not agree with drinking, he had nothing to do with Newgate. Dad, can't you be a little more restrained? Whitebeard laughed nonchalantly and said, Gu la la la. Don't worry, sons, this little wine is nothing, lousy as a white beard. Dad, Captain Marco, there is a guy who looks like a strange bird who wants to see Dad. TCH, he's here, I thought he didn't dare, let him come over. Marco curled his lips. Oh, dear Mr. Newgate, it's better to see than to hear. I only arrived today, I'm so rude. Arriving before anyone else, Morgans took off his top hat as a sign of respect as soon as he stepped onto the deck. Marco's voice suddenly sounded in Morgan's ears. You are a man who understands etiquette. If you dare to disrespect Dad, I will be the first to strip you of your bird feathers. Morgans was startled. With his insight, he didn't even notice Marco's movements. The speed is so fast. You are worthy of being the captain of the first division under Whitebeard. Morgans opened his mouth and let out another rainbow fart. His Majesty Whitebeard is really domineering and mighty. Even from a distance, I was so frightened by His Majesty's domineering power that I was so frightened that I couldn't breathe easily. I guess my fighting power is still the same as before. As he spoke, Morgans glanced at Whitebeard quietly, secretly observing the latter's reaction. With so many tubes inserted, it seems that Whitebeard's body is indeed as rumored, and is no longer what it used to be. Then its combat power will be greatly reduced. But, what is this pressure that makes people tremble uncontrollably? After all, Morgans was also a person who had experienced strong winds and waves, but in front of Whitebeard, he still felt a mountain of oppression. Listening to Morgan's compliments, Whitebeard continued to drink on his own, and his expression did not change. Okay, put away your reporters, tricks and get to the point of gate of opening. My sons and I have a banquet later. Haha, Your Majesty. Whitebeard really saw through my thoughts at a glance, so I will start the interview directly. Seeing that Whitebeard was so bold and nonchalant, Morgans immediately took out a small notebook from behind his back. First question, please ask Mr. Newgate. Marine Headquarters has mobilized 100,000 elites. At the same time, all 3 Marine generals are present, plus the 7 warlords of the sea. And the home battle venue is Marine Headquarters, Marineland. Faced with such a lineup, is Mr. Newgate really confident that he can rescue Ace? After saying that, Morgans stared straight at Whitebeard with his big eyes, as if he wanted to capture every detail of the latter's facial expression. After everyone heard Morgan's question, they also turned their attention to Whitebeard. Facing such a luxurious lineup, it would be a lie to say that there is no fluctuation in my heart. Especially the pirates who have been on the battlefield for a long time and have very senior qualifications. They know how terrifying a Marine general is. What's more, this time, all 3 Marine generals are present, which can be said to be unprecedented. Facing such an opponent, even the 4 Emperors pirate group, which rules the sea, feels unprecedented pressure. However, Whitebeard just grinned and took a big sip of wine. Gu la la la, that's my son. Morgans was shocked when he heard this. What did he mean? After a moment of silence, Morgans chose to ask, do you think you can be rescued? Marco interrupted in a bad tone, that's natural, don't you understand this? Morgans quickly wrote something down and then continued. Well, the next question is, facing Marine's highest combat power, General, with Mr. Newgate's current physical condition, can he win? La, I'm a Whitebeard. Morgans was stunned for a moment, then continued, if Marine hero Garp takes action, what do you think are the chances of winning? La, I'm a Whitebeard. Whitebeard just drinks, Morgans can't write. Well, Mr. Newgate, I admire your confidence very much, but there is a great newcomer at Marine, and I think you should be interested. PFF'd. Everyone burst out laughing when they heard this, and Marco said mockingly, how can a mere newcomer turn the world upside down? Morgans. No, Mr. Marco. This newcomer is not simple. He has only joined Marine for less than a month, and he has already shown amazing combat power, killing 3 supernovas in a row, and even defeating the recently popular Straw Hats. Together, they can fight Pluton Rayleigh and injure him. Even Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku sent people to contact me to put it on the front page of tomorrow's news and create an image that will be a benchmark for Marine in the future. Marco had just learned about this last piece of news, but Whitebeard still said the same thing. La, I'm a Whitebeard. Morgans is helpless. It seems that he finally got into danger this time, but the result of the interview was unsatisfactory. Last question, when the Whitebeard pirates, who are known as the strongest men in modern times and rule the New World, face the Marine overlord of Shanghai, Marine, who do you think will be the challenger? Hearing this, Whitebeard drank the remaining wine in one gulp. Marine as the challenger. Marco, who was also extremely confident, crossed his fists on his chest and said, Dad, you will win. The Whitebeard grinned White Fang. I will win because I am the strongest. After Morgans left, the Whitebeard pirates started their banquet. As for the rising marine star Kurosawa mentioned by Morgans, they were completely ignored. Back in the newspaper office, Morgans has already thought about how to arrange tomorrow's front page news. President, if you write this, you won't offend both Marine and Whitebeard, right? Don't worry, this is the effect we want. Tomorrow's headlines will definitely sell out. Morgans raised a proud smile on his lips. The next day, a headline-grabbing piece of news in the World Economic News shocked people around the world and sparked heated discussions. The strongest man in modern times versus the strongest Marine in the new era. Who is the challenger? Interviewee Edward Newgate said it himself, Marine is the challenger. Are you sure you can win this huge war that is destined to shake the world? Edward Newgate. I'm going to win. Why, Edward Newgate? Because I'm the strongest. The unique genius that appeared in Marine, even the Sengoku Fleet Admiral called it the future of Marine. What do you think of this? There is no text here with photos of Edward Newgate surrounding beautiful women while drinking. Note, there is no trace of PS. As people around the world see this headline news. New World Waters, on the Moby. Dad, this stupid bird is just making things up again as you said. Marco looked at the morning paper with a relaxed expression. If I had known better, I should have cut off his wings and made him into a roasted bird. He actually tarnished my father's image. Foil Beast's teeth were itching with anger, and he pulled out both swords, causing a lot of sparks from the friction. Whitebeard said indifferently, "Gu la la la, just let him go, after all, we are notorious pirates." At the same time, on the other side, Marine Fando, Marine Fleet Admiral Office. Warring States looked at the newspaper and his face turned black with anger. This, who taught him to write like this? How does this put Marine's majesty at risk? Ha 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 Sengoku, why don't you be so angry? It's not like you don't know about Morgans. I think this headline is very interesting. In the office, Garp listened to his subordinates laughing while reading the newspaper. Huo Shaoshan, didn't we say that everything has been communicated? Marine is the challenger. What a joke. A cross formed on Sengoku's forehead. On Daughter's Island, Monkey D. Luffy has initially tamed the Empress and learned about the huge war that is about to take place in Marineland. After seeing Kurosawa's extremely handsome face, Luffy immediately recalled the scene of being knocked unconscious by a blow that day, and a fierce look appeared on his face. This fool actually beat Nami and the others like that. Kurosawa, I will definitely defeat you. But first, I have to save Ace. A tall figure with peerless appearance came up from behind Luffy. At this time, Boya Hancock was already fascinated by Luffy, and he flattered him with a smile on his face. Luffy-kun, your enemy is my enemy. Thank you, Hammock. Brother Kurosawa, can you not go? Rimuru threw herself into Kurosawa's arms, crying so hard that I felt pity for him. Kurosawa said helplessly, it's just a small fight. Don't worry, and there are General Marine and many lieutenant generals in front of me. I'm just going to make a splash. The boss lady Lilia sighed lightly. This time the opponent is the Whitebeard pirates. Whitebeard's reputation is comparable to that of One Piece Roger. Even a 3-year-old child will stop crying when he hears this name. In a battle of this level, Kurosawa is likely to become cannon fodder in the war. How could Rimuru not know this? She was not that kind of stupid girl. She just sobbed in Kurosawa's arms, liar. After a Kurosawa-style comfort, the mother and daughter were finally successfully transferred. Kurosawa returned to Marina Vando's apartment, leaned down, and began to exercise day after day. Push-ups +1, push-ups +1, push-ups +1. After completing the training, I took a moment to appreciate my muscle lines. System, check the bounty value. Normal reward value, 5,000 points. Billion level bounty value, 15,600 points. After working hard for so long, it's finally time to bear fruit again. Kurosawa smiled slightly. The system will add some points to me. Ding. Congratulations to host for injecting 3,000 points of normal bounty value. Domain. Demon Subduing Chef has been upgraded to LV2. Ding. Congratulations to the host. Pay attention to the 1 trillion level bounty value. Domain. The Demon Subduing Chef has been upgraded to LV3. The bounty value consumed by skills above LV3 can be said to be doubled. After glancing at the remaining skills, Kurosawa felt that he should continue to maximize the effect of the natural fighter. Ding! Congratulations to host for injecting 2,000 points of normal bounty value and 100 billion level bounty value. Technique 8 has been upgraded to LV2. Ding! Congratulations to host for injecting 300 billion level bounty value. Upgrading physical skills to LV3. Bring up the system panel. Character: Kurosawa, human race. Abilities: Conqueror's Hockey LV4, Heaven Defying Six Eyes LV3, Virtual Style Shing LV1, Spell Reversal Kang LV3, Spell Reversal H LV3, Domain Infinite Space LV3, King of Curses LV1, Art Explanation LV3, Art 8 LV2, Mystery Open LV1, Domain Submit Demon and Cook LV3, Physical Art LV3, Swordsmanship LV5, Natural Fighter LV3, Armed Color Hockey LV3, Reversal Technique LV2, Unlimited Technique LV2. Identity: Colonel Marine. Billion level bounty value: 1,600 points. Item: the famous sword, Yan, Supreme Sharp Sword level. Prestige level LV3, your justice is praiseworthy. My skill tree. Looking at so many skills, if he didn't have the bonus of being a natural fighter, which can be called a system substitute, he might not be able to use them. Sometimes he can use them too much, which is not a good thing. Kurosawa looked out the window and smiled. The Whitebeard pirates, if I remember correctly, Whitebeard's bounty is more than 5 billion. Bring it on. A few days later, there are still 8 hours until Ace's public execution. Everyone assemble. Everyone assemble. Ah! This day was destined to be an extraordinary day. Before dawn broke in the sky, the ear-splitting sirens were already ringing in Marineland. Unprecedented, 100,000 elite Marine soldiers mobilized from all over the world woke up from their sleep at this moment. Of course, there are also Marines who cannot sleep due to excitement or various reasons. At this time, when they heard the horn sound, they all got up and rushed to gather. The Whitebeard pirates are coming. San, will definitely cut off Whitebeard's head, this time with Aishi Naru. Do you want your name to go down in history? If you don't brush your teeth, your mouth will look like you are scolding history. Quote. That's Whitebeard. Aren't you scared? Quote. Amidst the noisy sounds, 100,000 elite Marines are gathering quickly. In the Marine Fando Square, one after another strong figures exuding the aura of strong men were standing in front of them. They are elite lieutenant generals from all over the world and the lieutenant generals from Marine headquarters. Report fire, General Yamanaka. All members of the second training camp have assembled, please give instructions. Huo Shaoshan glanced around the crowd with a serious face, and then smiled. Little guys, don't die so soon. Miguel looked firm. Don't worry, instructor. Even if you die, it will be after you pluck out a layer of Whitebeard's skin. Huo Shaoshan, you ambitious brat. After saying that, Huo Shaoshan turned his attention to Kurosawa in the crowd. Same for you, kid. Don't rush too far this time, otherwise Lousy won't be able to protect you. Ding! The current situation of the host has been detected. You have a new life choice. Life choice 1. Single-handedly change the course of the war on the top, and help your camp achieve the final victory. Reward: distributed based on performance. Life choice 2. Betray the enemy in the war, join the pirate camp, and help Whitebeard rescue Portgas d'Ace. Reward: Conqueror's Hockey upgraded to LV5. Life choice 3. Go on a killing spree, fight Marine and the Whitebeard pirates at the same time, and survive successfully. Reward: Uranus World Class. Kurosawa met Huo Shaoshan's gaze. Don't worry, instructor, I'm sensible. For some reason, Huo Shaoshan always had an inexplicable premonition when looking at Kurosawa's confident face. In this war, this kid Kurosawa may bring everyone unexpected surprises. The real-time picture of Marine Fando has also been projected to all over the world by the phone bug at this moment. Well-equipped and seemingly extremely capable Marine soldiers poured out in a steady stream and lined up neatly on the square. Heavy artillery pieces were quickly set up under the orderly command. 50 huge warships surrounded Marina Fando, like an insurmountable mountain. The average pirate group would be frightened and flee in panic if they just took a look at it from a distance. Marine lieutenant generals wearing justice coats, and giant lieutenant generals as big as mountains arrived one after another. The extremely spectacular scene directly exposed the strength of Marine headquarters to the world. And this also declares Marine headquarters' determination to win. The first half of the Great Route. People are watching the real-time video of the phone bug and are having heated discussions. As the Whitebeard pirates strong, Marine actually dispatched so many troops. No matter how you look at it, Marine will definitely win. There are so many warships and heavy artillery, and there will be a giant ginseng battle. Yeah, no matter what, how could Marine headquarters lose? Don't underestimate the Whitebeard pirates. Rumor has it that their leader, Whitebeard, has the power to destroy the world. Destroy the world? Stop joking. Look, those are the 7 warlords of the sea. But why are there only 5 of them? Look directly below the execution platform, that is the legendary Marine's highest combat power. The 3 generals of Marine. By the way, didn't Marine say that a new star appeared? Tisk, just a new star, how much impact can it have on a war of this magnitude? That's right, I think even the most famous Whitebeard will be exhausted after killing 100 Marines. With 100,000 people, the Marine headquarters' victory is determined. Quote. The second half of the Grand Line. Countless notorious pirates are also waiting for the start of this war. Ha ha ha. Marine headquarters. Welcome Whitebeard's wrath. Fight, let's fight. It's better to turn the world upside down and both sides suffer. By then, no one in New World will be able to control us. This is Whitebeard, the pinnacle of our pirates' combat power. Whitebeard, take our place and sink Marinavando. As time passes slowly, it has been less than 3 hours since the execution, and the fuse of this war, Portgas d'Ace, has been taken to the execution platform. Marine Fleet Admiral Sengoku and Garp walked side by side. Sengoku. Garp, I'm going to make everything public. Do you have any objections? Garp said solemnly, it's up to you, I'll go down first. As the Warring States period walked onto the execution platform, the soldiers in the audience couldn't help but be a little confused. The previous battle arrangements didn't have this link, right? Under the attention of the world, Warring States picked up the phone bug. Before the war begins, I have something to tell you. Portgas d'Ace, why is this man publicly executed today? And what his death means to the world? Kurosawa looked up at the execution platform. Is it finally going to start? If he remembered correctly, Whitebeard should have arrived after Warring States finished speaking. It's really exciting. Warring States. Ace, tell the world who your father is. Ace, my father is Whitebeard. Warring States. That's not right. Ace, there's nothing wrong. My father only has Whitebeard and no one else. Sengoku, on that island, your mother, Portgas d'Rouge, evaded our capture by forcibly keeping you inside her body for 20 months. Then, a child who inherited the most evil bloodline in the world was born. And your father is none other than One Piece, Goldo Roger. Quote. As Warring States' words fell, it seemed as if the whole world had been pressed on the mute button. On such an occasion, it came from the mouth of the Warring States period again. No one will doubt the authenticity of this news anymore. After a brief silence, uproar broke out around the world. Fire Fist Ace is actually the son of One Piece Goldo Roger. Kill him. The blood of such an evil guy must not remain in the world. At the same time, the Marine soldiers who heard this at Marine headquarters Marinavando Square were also furious at this moment. The sense of justice brought about by the determination to execute Ace reaches its peak. In this battle, justice will win. Not long after, the sailors in the watchtower were the first to notice something strange on the sea surface. Appeared. Everyone, prepare for battle. Cold sweat broke out on Zhang Guo's forehead. It suddenly appeared. How on earth did it do that? On the sea, pirate ships came one after another from the heavy fog. It's the large fleet of pirate ships. Where is Whitebeard? Check it quickly. Wandering Knight Tama, Lei Ching Magai Kui, Brother de Calbin, Big Vortex Spider Skiard. Everyone is a difficult character, and they are all famous pirate captains who have occupied a place in the New World. There are 43 pirate ships in total, and Whitebeard and his captain have not been found yet. But there is no doubt that these are pirates from Whitebeard's pirate group. That's impossible, he must be there too. Watch the sea. Seeing the pirate ships approaching, Doflamingo began to get excited. If it weren't for Sengoku's request, he would have sat on the rocking chair and started eating. Foo. This is so interesting, so exciting. Hurry up and come over, Whitebeard. Gulu. A large number of bubbles appeared on the sea surface near the harbor of Marineland. Only then did Sengoku notice. I see, are all their ships coated and then moving forward from the bottom of the sea? But in such a short time. Wow, a huge wave rose into the sky, and an extremely huge whale ship broke through the sea. It's Moby. As the marine soldiers exclaimed, 3 more ships of the Whitebeard pirates entered the bend. Marco, captain of the first team, all 14 captains are on board. The decisive battle is about to begin, but the air at this time is suddenly a little quiet. Clang. The Moby, which was heading towards the execution platform, made a series of metal knocking sounds. Under the execution platform, Porosalino couldn't help but poked his head out, with a curious look on his face. Gu la, Warring States period, we haven't seen each other for decades. A tall figure stands on the bow of the ship, with a boundless and domineering momentum. It is the captain of the 4 Emperors pirate group that rules the New World, the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. Warring States looked at the powerful enemy in the past and couldn't help but clench his teeth. The Whitebeard is smiling. Is my son okay? Otherwise, you Marines will be prepared to be annihilated. Faced with such a lineup, Whitebeard still put down harsh words. Even if he was a pirate, the whole world was shocked by his courage at this moment. Sengoku, do you think you can win? Gu la. We'll win. The Whitebeard grinned White Fang, and the smile on his face was extremely confident. The decisive battle begins. Declaration of victory from the strongest man in the world. Countless Marines were waiting in full formation. Although the main fleet of the Whitebeard pirates directly passed through the Marine headquarters, first giant ship encirclement defense line through a surprise attack. But what stood in front of them were the 7 warlords of the sea and 100,000 Marine elites located on the coast. The third line of defense is composed of elite lieutenant generals. The fourth line of defense is the 3 Marine generals under the execution platform. Located on the coast, Doflamingo looked at Mihawk, the eagle eye, quite curiously. Foo. So what about this time? Are you going to stand by and watch as usual? Of course, Mihawk simply ignored Doflamingo's conversation. Mariah had a mean smile on his face, he. Facing the 3 generals of Shichibukai and Marine and the 100,000 Marine elites on my side, how are you going to attack? Whitebeard. Boya Hancock, who was dressed in purple robes, had no intention of fighting at this time, and was still worried about Luffy. Warring States. What a loud tone, everyone is on alert. The opponent is Whitebeard, maybe we will lose. Give me a moment. Ace. After Whitebeard finished speaking, he stood aside the Kongyunchi, stood up on his horse, put his hands in front of his chest to gather strength, and then suddenly shook the void on both sides. Boom. Under the puzzled eyes of 100,000 elite Marine soldiers. The air that was hit by Whitebeard's fists actually had cracks visible to the naked eye. These cracks were like spider webs, spreading rapidly in the void, and then boom. The terrifying vibration force was transmitted to the sea. Under Whitebeard's deliberate control, countless ocean currents began to vibrate and condense, and then gradually converged into supergiant waves that were far larger than normal. Under the violent earthquake, several giant sea waves rose into the sky. Each wave was as huge as Malinfando's headquarters, but in the blink of an eye it had already surpassed the peak of Malinfando. Countless sailors looked at this scene with eyes wide open. Looking at the waves that covered the sky, no one would doubt that once such waves fell. I am afraid that at least 2/3 of the 100,000 Marine elites deployed in Marineland Square will be defeated in one fell swoop. Kebi looked horrified. Are you kidding? Is this the power of Whitebeard? Although he was punished to clean the toilet, for a battle of this level, even Kebi, who is currently a toilet cleaner, was mobilized. Kurosawa among the Marine soldiers looked up and saw with his own eyes that the visual impact of the waves that could swallow up a giant island was truly unparalleled. On the Moby, Whitebeard looked at everyone's reactions and smiled confidently, as did the captains under his command. This is an attack from the strongest man in the world. How should Marine respond? Looking at this scene, Ace on the execution platform seemed to see hope, and pictures from the past flashed back in his mind. Doflamingo even laughed in amazement. Fufufufu is such a terrifying power. If this blow falls, Marine will definitely be severely injured. Under the desperate gaze of many Marine soldiers. Ah la la, wah. A blue figure jumped up from directly below the execution platform, and directly relied on physical strength to jump to a height of 100 meters. Kuzan stretched out his arms in the sky, and the ultimate ice power condensed in his palms. Then two beams of extreme ice that could condense even the air shot out towards the shocking waves in the sky. Ice Age. Kuzan's voice resounded throughout the audience. Under the shocked eyes of countless people, the wave that could have destroyed a giant island quickly turned into ice. In just one breath, the soaring waves surrounding the Marine headquarters were directly frozen. The opening scene of destruction from the strongest man in the world was resolved in this way. It's General Kuzan. This is the strength of a general. Be afraid, pirates. Whitebeard stared at the figure in the sky. Aokiji, you brat. Kuzan looked at Whitebeard, who was hundreds of meters away from him, put his hands in front of him, and condensed the spear of ice. Although this move looks ordinary, only those who are familiar with it know it. Even if the weapon is tempered to an advanced level, it is still unable to withstand the extreme cold. Ice Cube, Two-Thorn Spear. Kuzan spit out cold words and shot the deadly ice spear towards Whitebeard. Then the latter just smiled, raised his hand and punched out in the air. Goo la la la. The invisible space vibrated, and the extremely hard ice spear was shattered before it even got close to Whitebeard. The power of the invisible concussion did not diminish, and it violently penetrated Kuzan's body. But the latter was obviously prepared for it. Before the shock force arrived, Kuzan had already elementalized his body. Crack! With a loud explosion, a ball of ice fell into the sea. Kuzan stretched out his palm, and the power of ice instantly froze the sea surface. Also frozen at the same time was the Moby, which had dived into the inner bay. What are you afraid of? We have generals holding the line. Shelling. Bang bang bang. As the cannons were fired one after another, a large number of pirates jumped off the Moby. The war officially begins now. Amid countless people's shouts of charging, even Foil Bista, the captain of the 5th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, joined the battle. In the Marine camp, the lieutenants are also ready to make a move. Soldiers, this battle is for justice. Use your skills to defeat all evil. Kill. On the execution platform, Warring States looked at the white-cloaked figure in the distance with a displeased expression. He knew without looking that Whitebeard was probably staring at the battlefield with a smile on his face. If someone can directly attack the commander, the morale will be greatly improved. It's a pity that the general's combat power still needs to be retained to guard the execution platform. The place of lieutenants. Grandma He, let us kill the enemy here. You, old man, can drink tea in the back. I'm not that old yet. Huo Shaoshan was helpless when he heard this, and his eyes immediately glanced at the soldiers, but he did not find Kurosawa. Strange, where did this kid go? High in the sky above Marinaventer, only a few people noticed that a figure appeared here at some unknown time. Sakaski's eyebrows showed confusion. Kurosawa. Why is he in that place? Porisalino also discovered it, opening and closing his mouth. Oh, he can actually fly too. Whitebeard looked at the figure in the sky, a little confused. He had not read the newspaper of that day, so naturally he did not know who Kurosawa was. Marco, who was always paying attention to every move on the battlefield, frowned and looked at Kurosawa in the sky. That guy is the Marine Star, right? What does this guy want to do? Ha ha ha, are you trying to impress people? What a stupid thing to do. Many pirates noticed and laughed. High in the air, Kurosawa's hair moved with the wind, and his blue pupils shone with infinite light, as if the dark power from hell was surging crazily around him, and the huge concentrated spell even distorted the space. The technique is reversed, Kang. The technique is reversed, he. Two balls of light, one red and one blue, were generated in midair. Kurosawa began to form seals with both palms and spoke plausibly. 9 outlines, polarized light, chaotic sounds, between the outside and the inside. The complete version of the mantra, the complete version of the seals, and the mantra power mobilized to the limit. Shu Shi. Purple light bloomed over Marinavando, the target. Whitebeard. What is that? The purple light blooming in the sky over Marinavando shone in everyone's eyes. Under the real-time broadcast of the phone bug projection, people all over the world also enjoyed that dangerous and beautiful picture at this moment. Is this Marine's latest technology? Or is it that another general has taken action? On a big tree in the Sabayati Islands, a white-haired figure sat on the giant tree. It was Pluton Rayleigh who fought against Kurosawa that day. At this time, he was staring at the screen intently. Judging from the shining purple light, based on his decades of bloody fighting experience, if this move was not a show, its power was definitely far beyond common sense. It has even reached the level of power that can threaten the four emperors. Who is it? Aokiji is impossible. Akainu and Kizaru have different abilities. Is there another extraordinary person in Marine? Thinking of this, Rayleigh couldn't help but think of the blue-eyed Marine boy a few days ago. It can't be that kid, right? No, he shouldn't have grown to this point after not seeing each other for a few days. On the battlefield of Malinfando, the shining purple above the head was like the second sun rising, especially after Kuzan used his ability to freeze the entire battlefield. Through constant mirror reflection, the purple light shone into almost every corner of the battlefield. Moria was puzzled by this purple light. Logically speaking, there was no one in Marine who could use this move. Doflamingo spread his hands and laughed. Foo. Who is doing this? Marine. Even the pirate Empress Boya Hancock, who was originally immersed in Luffy's thoughts, couldn't help but be pulled back by this wave of thoughts. Her charming eyes revealed deep doubts and shock. Is this Vegapunk's latest technology? Bartholomew Bear was holding the book with his mouth slightly open. After being transformed into a mechanical eye, he could see clearly after activating the special perspective mode. In the purple light, it was Kurosawa's figure. Mihawk, who has always looked down on the world, actually had a flash of shock in his eyes at this time. As the world's greatest swordsman, his insight and judgment are beyond imagination. Even from a long distance, Mihawk can know how terrifying the power contained in this purple light will be once it breaks out. Kuzan put his pockets in his pocket and looked at the sky. Allah, the momentum is not small. Under the execution platform, Porosalino's sunglasses were reflected purple. Yo, it's really scary. Kurosawa-kun. Sakazuki smiled and said, Whitebeard, let's see how you deal with it. Warring States opened his mouth wide. Who is there? Look at this target. Is it to attack Whitebeard? But the intention is too obvious. Ace, who was kneeling on the ground and being handcuffed, looked ugly. Dad. Garp, who was still picking his nose, stopped what he was doing and stared blankly into the air. He has the same momentum as Roger did back then. Is there such a figure in Marine? Why didn't I know about it? In the midst of the discussions, the purple light fluctuations caused by the collision of red and blue light balls became more and more intense. The surging and twisted purple seemed to have an extremely strange aura. Even the battle-experienced Whitebeard pirates, the captains, also felt intense uneasiness after seeing it. Among them, Marco, who had been looking at the entire battlefield, looked particularly solemn. Did that Marine star create this thing? Are you kidding? Even I feel in danger. Whitebeard's eyes narrowed, staring straight at the gradually spreading purple. The energy pressure formed by this purple light reminded him, a top expert, of the moves used by that unparalleled hero, One Piece Gall D. Roger, in the war that year. God avoids. A move that can only be performed by combining top-level conquerors' domineering power with top-level swordsmanship. Now, the unknown kid in front of him actually made him feel the same pressure as when he faced this move. La. Apart from being fearful, Whitebeard also became more and more excited. High in the sky, Kurosawa's hair is dancing wildly, and the ultimate purple meaning is contained in his control. See. The next moment, it will be in full bloom. Buzz. The huge purple ball of light flew out in an instant, with a dark purple distortion visible to the naked eye wherever it passed, as if the space could not bear the energy and was crushed by it. The next second, the purple virtual form came to Whitebeard at an astonishing speed. At this moment, the latter's pupils were completely occupied by the purple light. The immortal thistle, the phoenix burning with blue flames streaked across the sky, and its two wings that ignited the immortal fire rotated crazily and at high speed, condensing into an indestructible shield. Marco looked straight at the approaching purple, his eyes showing confidence, because with his move, relying on the immortal flames and powerful domineering gas skills. Even if a guy like Kaido came, he couldn't do it in a short time breakthrough within. Then, Kyoshi Kai and Phoenix Marco collided violently. That scene was like a huge high-speed train carrying violent thunder crossing a wormhole and hitting a powerful alien beast with burning fire feathers. Chang! The virtual mass of the virtual explosion melted half of Marco's cheek as soon as it came into contact. But under the influence of the immortal flames, the half of the cheek that should have melted actually began to recover. Seeing this, Marco had a smile on his face. He had already felt the power of this purple light. It was indeed powerful, but as long as he could not break through his defense immediately, that means he won. Even if it's an attack on the level of the 4 emperors, you can't even expect it from me, huh? Before he finished speaking, Marco noticed something was wrong. This attack, what's going on? Why is the pain so intense? To his surprise, Marco discovered that the power of this virtual form was far more than what it appeared on the surface. It stands to reason that even if this purple light is very powerful, it cannot reach the point where he cannot bear it, but the regeneration speed of his immortal flame, why has it become so slow? It's like there is some kind of power that suppresses the regeneration of the immortal flames. This is not scientific. However, others didn't know Marco's situation. What they saw was that Marco relied on his body to withstand this seemingly devastating attack. The Marine soldier looked ugly. It's the captain of Whitebeard's 1st Division. Marco the Phoenix. Well done, Captain Marco. The pirates cheered and encouraged. Sakazuki frowned. Marco's defensive ability was beyond his expectation. If they were to face each other later, he would have to increase the dose of Dark Hound. Warring States gritted his teeth and felt regretful that this move could not work. It was so close that I could directly unseat the opponent's coach. Even Whitebeard showed a proud smile on his face after seeing Marco block the attack. As expected of me, my son, Marco, did it, Before Whitebeard finished speaking, the scene of collision in the sky suddenly changed. The purple light suddenly ran over after a burst of anxiety. Daddy, be careful. Kurosawa's spell attack is now blessed by the King of Curses. Even Marco's blue immortal flames regenerate very quickly, and they are no longer able to withstand powerful attacks like Kyoshi Shiki. Marco's body was swallowed up by every inch of the purple of Kyoshi. The pain caused by its curse attack was beyond normal. Even Marco's endurance could no longer manage his facial expressions well. Oh, of course, Marco's face is now in disarray. If it could be a human face, Marco would definitely be twisted into a chrysanthemum at this moment. According to the past, the pain of wounds regenerated by the immortal flames was almost non-existent, but facing this purple light, he actually found the pain a bit unbearable. Under such heavy pressure, it accelerated the collapse of his regeneration ability, and then he could no longer maintain it. Daddy, be careful. Almost at the moment when I shouted these words, the purple light is less than 5 meters away from Whitebeard. Within this distance, Whitebeard's skin can already directly feel the sting caused by Shushichu. That violent purple intention that is going to crush everything. At this distance, the other captains of the Whitebeard pirates had no time to react. Then, under the shocked attention of the world, Whitebeard was forced to take action. Boom! Whitebeard punched out with his left fist. Under time constraints, he only had time to mobilize part of his fruit power and a small amount of domineering energy. However, despite this, such a punch was enough to make a Marine Lieutenant General lose his combat effectiveness. The giant fist that condensed the power of shock hit Shushi. Kakaka. Large cracks spread quickly, and the violent purple spirit began to tremble violently. Ignoring the crowd and not daring to breathe, I stared at this confrontation, until the shock force created by Whitebeard was like an invisible storm competing with the purple light of Shushi. On the screen, one purple and one white formed 2 areas. Whitebeard blocked it. On the bow of the Moby, this huge ship that had gone through countless wars and was safe and sound, was now shattered on a large scale in the confrontation between the two. Then, under the gaze of Whitebeard's widened eyes, the terrifying virtual form suddenly exploded, swallowing it completely like a deep space tunnel. Boom boom boom. On this ice-blue battlefield, under the witness of the world, a deep purple tunnel that almost traverses Malinfando shocked and attracted attention. After running over Whitebeard, Shushi's momentum was not reduced, and he blasted it to the other end of the second giant ship before he could stop. If Whitebeard hadn't resisted with all his strength, this blow might have pushed him directly out of the inner bay of Marine Fando. However, in this way, Whitebeard almost withstood a complete blow of the maximum output of the virtual style. But he had no choice. After all, if he didn't neutralize the power of this move, he would become a drowned rat in front of the whole world. It's okay to lose a little face, but it will greatly affect morale. For such a war, Whitebeard will never accept it. Quote. At this time, on the battlefield of Marinafando, except for the roar caused by the explosion of hollow style, all other sounds almost disappeared. Countless people's eyes were fixed on the end of the purple tunnel. They eagerly wanted to know how Whitebeard was doing after resisting this blow. People all over the world are talking about it. Whitebeard won't die like this, will he? Is it possible? After all, the power of that move is simply terrifying. Even Marco can't stop it at all. How is Marco? On the ice, a blue flame is slowly condensing into a human form, but the condensation speed is unusually slow. Marco, who finally regained his composure, looked up with concern, ignoring the severe pain radiating from all over his body, and wanted to fly into the sky to look for the figure with white beard. Dad. At this time, the Moby was already in dilapidated condition. The entire head was collapsed and shattered under the pressure. Starting from the middle of the hull, a very deep crack was cut out, like a plowed ground. Suffering such a blow, even if the Whitebeard pirates win this battle, the Moby will no longer be able to return. The pirates climbed up from all over the ship. If Whitebeard hadn't blocked most of the power of Kyoshi-kai, those who stayed on the ship would have been annihilated. Dad, are you okay? How dare you attack Daddy? At this time, the director very wisely pointed the phone camera at the end of the purple tunnel. As the deep purple collapse slowly dissipated, the white-bearded face was revealed. Whitebeard's uniform is a bit tattered, and purple remains in many places on his body, especially his left hand, which is covered in rich purple black. That is the remnant of the curse that can corrode the human body. But the most eye-catching thing is the bright red that keeps flowing out from the corners of the Whitebeard's mouth. Whitebeard is hurt. The man who claims to be the strongest in the world is actually injured. Wow, the whole world was in an uproar. The marine soldiers raised their arms and shouted, but the pirates showed timidity in their eyes. Just at the beginning, their backbone, the strongest man, the Emperor of the Sea, Dad Whitebeard, was injured. And even when Marco intercepted him, he still looked a little embarrassed. The atmosphere quietly began to change, and the balance of victory in this war began to tilt toward Marine. Phew. Who is it? That's Whitebeard. Doflamingo raised his head and laughed, and Boya Hancock was also shocked. If such an attack had been carried out by her, the result would have been unpredictable. Whitebeard's brows furrowed and he looked up somewhere. A pair of tiger eyes were full of ruthlessness. At this time, he was being eaten away by the remaining spell power of Shushisi, and at the same time, it brought with it the transcendental power. Usual pain. Following Whitebeard's gaze, the director also tilted the camera to the sky at the right time. At the opening of the purple tunnel, a black-haired figure stood proudly. Rayleigh from the Sabayati Islands' eyes flickered, and he met the eyes of the protagonist in the picture. Then Rayleigh's mouth opened slightly, and he looked at the instigator of all this in a daze. That black-haired figure. It's really that boy. On the big screens around the world, Kurosawa tilted his head slightly, and those blue eyes were reflected in the eyes of the world. That guy is Kurosawa. He was the one who severely injured Whitebeard. Who is Kurosawa? That's the rising star of Marine. Didn't you read the newspaper that day? It's the one who is the challenger. Malinvando, execution platform. At this time, Sengoku also realized that the situation on the battlefield had begun to tilt towards Marine's side because of one person. The corners of Zongguo's mouth couldn't help but turn up. He could never miss such an opportunity. Picking up the phone, Warring States shouted with all his strength. All personnel, please note that the enemy coach Whitebeard has been successfully injured by our side. Such a powerful blow comes from our Marine's super new star, Kurosawa. He is the future star of our Marine. Not even Whitebeard, who is known as the strongest man in the world, can't stop our Marine's future. Marine will win this battle. The whole army, attack. In Holy Land Marie Joa, the 5 elders are watching the war in real time through phone bug communication. Financial god of war. it is indeed a loss not to bring this Kurosawa into CP. Farming martial god. No way, he was brought into Marine by Garp. From the moment I noticed him, it has been difficult to win over him. Legal martial god. This level of attack is enough to threaten the 4 emperors. Even Lu Qi doesn't have such strength. What a pity. Environmental martial god. If you can't serve us, what's the difference between you and the enemy? Just get rid of them. Scientific defense martial god. Let's take another look. Vegapunk's new weapon will be available soon, so you can look forward to it. At this time, on the battlefield of Malinfando, Doflamingo looked at the figure in the sky in disbelief, and then the expression on his face changed from shock to some kind of amusement. Foo, it's this kid. Really? Those guys from CP should be so sorry that their intestines are turning green. Why is it this? What a joke. Moria looked ferocious. The guy who had a violent conflict with him not long ago actually gained such powerful combat power in the blink of an eye. Doesn't it mean that if we meet him again, there is a high chance that Moria will be lost in the hands of this kid? Mahawk, who has always been aloof, curled up his lips and said, "What an interesting kid." Bartholomew Bear had an expressionless face, opening and closing his mouth in a voice that only he could hear. As expected of a man who can push Ryu's son to the ground and beat him violently. Kurosawa. After Boya Hancock saw Kurosawa's face, the pirate empress who had always looked down on men and was dissatisfied with all males, her pupils shrank. There is such a handsome man in the world. And he is also so powerful. But, the guy who injured Luffy in the Sabayati Islands a few days ago must be him. In that case, then he is my enemy. I will meet you when I come. Boya Hancock's face returned to calmness, and he stared straight at Kurosawa. Huo Shaoshan drew out his sword energy and cleared the area in front of him of pirates. Then he looked at the black-haired figure in the sky, with a sincere smile on his face. You are worthy of being a member of my training camp. Not far from the Huoshao mountain, a dark-skinned man had just finished killing a pirate after changing his position with a shave. He looked at the figure in the sky and raised the corners of his mouth unconsciously. Of course, Huo Shaoshan instructor, that's the boss of our training camp. After saying that, Miguel turned his eyes to the distance. In that direction, a captain of the Whitebeard pirates was killing everyone. If the boss is so strong, he can't lag too far behind. The flying squirrel also praised. Indeed, you have indeed produced a great guy this time. Stirs moved his shoulders and said, the younger generations are so brave. If we old guys don't show off, how can we still have the face to hang around? Looking at several powerful figures rushing forward, in just a few breaths, they had already wiped out a large area of pirates. The morale of the marine soldiers is even higher. The lieutenant generals also took action. They are all so strong. Whitebeard pirates, meet your doomsday. Kill. In the sky, Blue Eyes looked down at the battlefield, and the surging curse power in Kurosawa's body slowly subsided. Through the observation of heaven-defying 6 eyes, he could intuitively see the physical condition of Whitebeard's body. Did the maximum output of the Kyushu style only cause Whitebeard this small amount of damage? However, Marco has already absorbed most of the power. I just wanted to test it out. Kurosawa thought so, but the captains of the Whitebeard pirates were not happy. The one Kurosawa injured was their father. The foil sword Beasta showed a fierce expression, and the blade in his hand emitted bursts of cold light. Are you kidding me? A brat like you actually injured Daddy? It's all my fault, Marco said with an ugly face. The pain in his body had almost disappeared, but the shame Kurosawa brought to him made him angry. You dare to attack Dad. Let me educate you. After saying that, Marco waved his hands, and the blue immortal flames quickly rekindled on his 2 arms. Waves of air swept out, and the powerful reaction force they brought went straight into the sky. Like a blue arrow piercing the sky, it shot straight into the sky with an extremely fierce edge. Kurosawa looked at Marco, who was coming to kill him, with an unchanged expression. Is it just you? The scar is so healed that it doesn't hurt anymore. You brat, are you already exhausted after just launching such an attack? You still dare to speak so brazenly? Go to hell. Marco screamed, and the figure was approaching rapidly. Marco took action at Kurosawa. Not good. Kurosawa is in danger. All the Navy soldiers couldn't help but exclaimed when they saw this. Even veteran lieutenant generals such as Huo Shaoshan had their faces downcast. Although the performance of Kurosawa's move just now was extremely excellent, in the final analysis, in their opinion, the effect was unexpected. And just as Marco said, after launching such an attack, Kurosawa must have been exhausted already, right? You don't have martial ethics to sneak attack on a junior. Chapter 51. The lieutenants wanted to stop them, but they heard a leisurely voice. Oh, what an amazing kid, but if you let your subordinates face the captains so early, wouldn't you be looking down on us too much? Under the execution platform, Porosalino walked to the front as he spoke, and his eyes under his sunglasses had already locked onto Marco, who was flying into the air. The next second, Porosalino's body turned into particles of light and disappeared. When he reappeared, he had already arrived at Kurosawa's side. You think so? Buzz. Dazzling golden light shines around Kurosawa. Lightspeed kick. Porosalino's right foot shone with a deadly light, and the kick was powerful enough to break a towering tree and swung it towards Marco. Boom. General Porosalino. Captain Marco. In the air, facing Porosalino's light speed kick, Marco also kicked out, and terrifying power came from the sole of his foot. Marco's face turned ugly for a moment. He gritted his teeth and continued to release his explosive domineering energy. He continued to exert force on his feet but still felt extremely difficult. Kizaru, you fool. It's really scary, all of them are as strong as monsters. Whitebeard's captains. Porosalino had a teasing expression and pressed down the soles of his feet with a relaxed expression. Phew, Marco couldn't resist, and was kicked into the ice, making a deep dent. However, he stood up again quickly. Obviously, the blow did not cause any harm to him. Kurosawa-kun, you've worked really hard, you can take a break first. As he spoke, Porosalino's figure turned into golden light particles again, and the next second, a huge golden light shone in the sky above Whitebeard. 8-foot beautiful Magatama. Don't get carried away with yourself, Kizaru. A mortal thistle. As the golden light shone, the figure carrying the blue flame quickly caught up. Under the attention of everyone, Marco rotated his body at high speed again, condensing a blue flame shield to block the attack of the golden light particles. I actually blocked it. General Porosalino's attack. I couldn't block Kurosawa's attack before, but now I've blocked the general's attack. High in the sky, after a round of strafing, Porosalino felt quite embarrassed listening to everyone's discussion. It's true, I've been compared to the younger generation. Nisunai, Kizaru. With a swish sound, the flying phoenix accelerated suddenly and reached the top of Porosalino's head, and then slammed down with his kick. Bang! Porosalino blocked Marco's kick with one hand, with a slight smile on his face. It's really scary. Marco gritted his teeth and pressed down hard. Are you kidding me? Porosalino's figure was kicked into the land of Marinafando, and there was a bang and dust and smoke flew everywhere. Mr. General. Amidst the exclamations of all the soldiers, Porosalino quickly turned into particles of light and flashed out of the ruins. Despite such a huge explosion, not even a particle of dust was stained on his uniform. Don't worry, I'm fine. After saying that, Porosalino looked at the sky with deep meaning. Kurosawa was slowly landing. Kurosawa's purple attack just now actually broke through an attack that even his 8-foot Magatama couldn't break through. Have you really gone too far? Porosalino regretted it. At this time, few people noticed that a strong man actually inserted his hands directly into the ice. You must know that the ice frozen by Kuzan cannot even be cut through by ordinary swords. You can imagine how hard it is. Subsequently, Kakakaka. Amidst the bursts of violent breaking sounds, a supergiant ice cube that was as big as a small mountain was held in Chaozi's hands. What a joke. That guy is actually strong enough to pick up an ice cube like that. Josie summoned all his strength and veins popped out all over his body. You fool Marine, die. The giant ice cube rose into the air and was thrown towards the execution platform. Kurosawa narrowed his eyes slightly as he watched this scene. It was not difficult to imagine that if Akainu didn't take action later, Ace would probably be directly hit to death by the ice block. Well, that's a good development. Hey, you Marine, you were the one who took action against Dad. Buzz. The gorgeous and romantic rose sword energy came through the air. Kurosawa turned his head slightly and disappeared in a flash. Crack. Aha! The rose sword chi was easily dodged by Kurosawa. Unfortunately, the ordinary pirates who were affected were directly invaded by the gorgeous and romantic-looking Rose Swordchi and were strangled to death. He actually dodged it. Foil Sword Beast's eyes moved slightly as he watched this scene. Just now, he specially used an extremely fast sword energy attack, sacrificing part of his power in exchange for unparalleled speed. Is it shaving? No, even those lieutenant generals in the Marine who are proficient in shaving can't avoid my sword. Should you shave it? Kurosawa curled his lips and looked at the thick-bearded swordsman in front of him. The bounty is 884 million belly. Not bad. Oh, tell me my bounty. Do you still want my head? Foil Beast sneered. Kurosawa just smiled faintly. While the two were talking, the iceberg that Josie picked up and smashed towards the execution platform was about to fall. Several giant Marine lieutenant generals guarding the execution platform looked panicked. This is too big. We can't stop it. What an amazing strength. That Diamond Josie, captain of the Whitebeard 3rd Division. Even the giant lieutenant general, who is more than 10 meters tall, is like a mantis with arms in front of this iceberg. They all ran out one by one. Really, the Warring States order didn't include you. Gulu gulu. Under the execution platform, a figure dressed in red stood up from the chair, and the thick arms under the sleeves turned into rolling lava. In just an instant, the temperature under the execution platform suddenly rose, and the surrounding air became distorted. That is the ultimate burning heat, representing the most lethal Logia fruit and rockberry fruit in the world of One Piece. If there is no one guarding here, how can I explain to the world if I am directly attacked by the enemy? While shouting angrily, the magma transformed into Sakazuki's right arm suddenly expanded again. Big fire. A giant fist of magma that was as big as a giant clan struck the iceberg violently. PFF'd. Under the shocked gaze of everyone, the extremely hard iceberg began to melt rapidly as soon as it came into contact. After one breath, the supergiant iceberg disappeared out of thin air. If everyone hadn't just witnessed it with their own eyes, it would have been as if it had never existed. He is truly worthy of General Sakazuki. That iceberg, it just melted. Quote. Wait, what is that? The giant magma fist flashed red light. When the red light reached its peak, it suddenly exploded and turned into countless magma fireballs that fell into the battlefield. Its power is so powerful that just one bullet is enough to destroy a giant pirate ship. Boom boom boom. As the magma and fireballs continued to fall, the battlefield turned into hell for a while. Ah, it seems your attack is not very effective. Kurosawa's face was illuminated by the firelight, and the dark red color of the magma in the sky made the darkness in his hands even more permeable. Playing with a knife in front of me. You kid who talks arrogantly, you should worry more about yourself. Foil Sword Beast looked fierce, and his body turned into a thin shadow and rushed towards Kurosawa. Wherever the two swords passed, they left roses behind. Kurosawa's six heaven-defying eyes flickered, and he could clearly see the acupuncture sword energy contained in the rose, which was as powerful as a bud exploding. One sword style, blue, one flash. Rose waltz. Chang. The blades of both sides suddenly intersected. In an instant, roses and blue waves scattered all over the sky. The surrounding ice cracked instantly, and countless cracks spread and then exploded. Crack, click, click. Seeing countless ice cubes of different shapes being shaken into the air by this powerful sword energy exchange. Foil Beast's face flashed with shock. Your sword technique has actually entered the realm of a great swordsman. Are you kidding me? Isn't this guy said to be a devil fruit user? Why can he still do swordsmanship? Such a young guy. The potential is awesome. However, there are also first and second-rate swordsmen among great swordsmen. Kid, your swordsmanship is still too young. When Beasta was shocked, he quickly came to his senses, but he caught a glimpse of Kurosawa's mouth curling up. As a world-class swordsman, Beasta's insight was not weak. With his keen sense of smell, he immediately noticed something was wrong. There is an inexplicable force surging around this kid, and everything is weird. Captain Beasta, let me help you. You brat is the one who attacked Daddy. A person not far away yelled angrily and came at a very fast speed with a knife. Upon seeing this, Beasta quickly stopped him, but was held in place by an inexplicable force. Beasta was shocked. There was definitely something wrong with this kid. Fosa, don't come here. Fosa, the captain of the 15th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, didn't know why. The technique turns to Kang. The blue ball of light instantly condensed between Kurosawa and Fosa, and the terrifying gravitational force sucked together the surrounding ice cubes. At the same time, Fosa was also controlled by this force and found it difficult to move. Explanation of the technique. Kurosawa held the sword in his right hand, made a seal with his left hand, and lightly slashed at Fosa. The fatal curse slash and the Kang carrying countless ice slags hit Fosa fiercely. Bang, swish, swish. In an instant, Fosa became a bloody mess, and the blade in his hand became fragmented. Kurosawa looked at the shocked Beasta in front of him, opening and closing his mouth. Stay out of the way. Ding. Congratulations to host for killing Fosa. Obtaining a 1 billion level bounty. Ding. Congratulations to host for killing Fosa. Obtaining a 100 million level bounty worth 295 million Baileys. On the ice not far away, the surging blue magic power and the dark red-black magic power were mixed together, and the ice slag attracted by the blue turned into countless thin blades, slashing Fosa's body in the violent spiral, strangulated in human form. In just the blink of an eye, the leader of the 15th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, who was so powerful in the New World, died on the spot. Captain Fosa. Impossible. Captain Fosa is actually dead. The pirates who originally watched Fosa rushing towards Kurosawa thought that in a 2-on-1 situation, they would be sure to capture Kurosawa. However, they never expected that. The final outcome was actually being killed instantly. What kind of monster is this Kurosawa? In the eyes of everyone in amazement, Kurosawa looked at the furious Beasta in front of him, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Why, you can't accept this. The remnants of the old era. Quote, exclamation mark, quote. Veins popped up on Beasta's forehead, and blood vessels protruded from the tight dress on his arms. Buzz buzz. The flowing sword energy and domineering energy converged into a trickle of energy that swirled around the two swords, and one of the roses became more and more bright red. The remnants of the old era. You brat, please wake up. Beasta's eyes were fierce, and the two swords in his hands were constantly rubbing against Kurosawa's, dark, and the amplitude of the vibrations and sparks were getting bigger and bigger. Chang chang chang. Kurosawa's eyes narrowed slightly, and at this moment, his heaven-defying six eyes suddenly noticed a scorching wave coming from high in the sky. In the sky, a huge magma fireball drew a long black smoke tail in the sky, falling rapidly towards Kurosawa and Beasta. Kurosawa curled his lips, I'll deal with you later. After finishing his words, Kurosawa moved the fingers of his left hand lightly. Aang, who had just finished off Fosa on the field, quickly flew towards Beasta under Kurosawa's control. The violent gravitational force in its path shattered more ice, bringing with it a large amount of ice slag to form an ice spike ball. It is not difficult to imagine that if they were hit by such an attack, even the tough marine lieutenant generals would be extremely uncomfortable, let alone a fragile swordsman like Beasta. It's a magma fireball. Get out of the way. Captain Beasta, be careful in the sky. At this time, there was no time to mourn Fosa's death, and the pirates of the Whitebeard Pirates quickly shouted a reminder. 2 attacks, one red and one blue, came almost at the same time. As a battle-hardened veteran and a top swordsman, Beasta was naturally able to quickly judge that the threat of the magma fireball from the sky was much greater than the threat of the ice ball hitting him. You kid, do you want to die with me? Then I can only say that you are too young. Beasta's arms shook, and the foil sword in his hand danced in a gorgeous arc. The bright red rose sword energy with the powerful vibration force directly cut Kurosawa into the air with his sword. How could you dodge this blow in the air? Beasta looked at Kurosawa in midair and sneered. The former's rose sword energy and the unlimited technique guarding the surface of Kurosawa's body caused ripples visible to the naked eye. Unfortunately, he still failed to break through. Kurosawa smiled when he saw this. It seemed that the unlimited technique at level 2 was far more useful than he imagined. Beasta didn't notice anything was wrong yet. He relied on his many years of kendo fighting experience and was sure that he would be able to cut Kurosawa into pieces before the magma fireball fell. However, Kurosawa curled his lips, and then Beasta felt something bad. Does this kid have a backup plan? Goodbye. After Kurosawa finished speaking, his figure disappeared out of thin air. How is this possible? Beasta's pupils shrank. He didn't understand why Kurosawa was able to break away after being entangled in his rose sword chi. He was so fast that he could hardly see clearly. No, now is not the time to think about this. The next second, the magma fireball and Kurosawa's blue ice ball arrived at the same time. Boom! The red and blue light shines at this moment, and the terrifying high-temperature flames and extremely cold gravitational ice spikes completely engulf Beasta. Kurosawa's figure appeared in the distance and ignored Beasta. The system did not receive any notification that Beasta was killed. As expected, he is indeed a first-class swordsman. He took Akainu's attack head-on and didn't kill him. Compared to Kurosawa's Sai, in the distance, on the Mobi, Whitebeard, who had witnessed the entire brief encounter, frowned. Isn't this kid too evil? At this time, a huge magma fireball in the sky hit Whitebeard's position, and the latter's expression did not change. Dwang! I saw Whitebeard's left hand shaking, and the domineering energy surging in his body finally expelled the purple curse power from his body. Then he held Kong Yunchi in his right hand, and the surging domineering and vibrating power gathered at the tip of the knife, pointing straight towards it. The fireball stabbed out with magma. Boom! Kaka! After a loud bang, the invisible strong wind mixed with the power of domineering vibration directly stopped the magma fireball. Then Whitebeard blew hard, and actually blew out the burning high-temperature flame. Whitebeard looked at Sakazuki on the execution platform with a confident smile on his face. Magma kid, you'd better go and light candles on my birthday cake. Sakazuki also looked confident. Hemiplegic old guy, do you like a luxurious funeral? Whitebeard didn't answer, and roughly glanced around the battlefield. At this time, the situation of the war was slightly out of his expectation. It was because this guy Kurosawa injured himself, which caused a huge drop in morale. Except for the captains who still have the upper hand, the rest of the battles tend to be defeated. Whitebeard frowned. You must know that the current war has just started. If it develops like this. No, I was careless. Whitebeard glanced at the boy who had just injured him and found that the latter was already running towards his other captain. I almost killed Fosa instantly with one move. Still can't satisfy your appetite, young sailor. Goo la la la. As Whitebeard laughed, there was an angry look on his face. His body was in a posture of wide open and closed, and then he jumped up directly. The cape flying behind Whitebeard in the sky was flying, a pair of cloudy eyes were filled with light, and unimaginable terrifying power gathered in his left fist. Sons, get out of the way! He shouted loudly, and countless pirates looked shocked when they heard this sound. Dad is taking action, get out of the way! Seeing the anger on Whitebeard's face, Marco kicked a lieutenant general away. Dad, are you angry? On the execution platform, Warring States looked at Whitebeard who jumped up and his expression suddenly changed. Are you going to do it yourself so soon? Whitebeard. In addition to being amazed, Sangguo was even more excited. The opponent's coach ended the game so early, all because of Kurosawa. Etc. Whitebeard's target is Kurosawa. On the ice, Kurosawa casually drew out a few swords and eliminated several blind pirates. He had already locked the next target to kill. Speedo Kill, captain of the 14th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, has a bounty of 456 million Baileys. Just when Kurosawa was about to take action, he suddenly felt a chill running through his body. This is. Kurosawa suddenly raised his head and looked up at the sky, only to see large areas of cracks spreading rapidly in the distant sky. Behind them, there was a burly man. Whitebeard. Attention, all troops, Whitebeard is about to take action. On the execution platform, Sengoku shouted with a phone. Countless Marines' expressions were shaken, and their eyes showed uncontrollable fear. The legendary strongest man is about to take action. Who is his target? When many Marines were panicking, a golden light shone on the battlefield, and then turned into a beam of light and shot straight towards Whitebeard. Almost at the same time, a blue flame figure intercepted the beam of light with the same speed. Bang! Porosalino kicked Marco on the wing, and the latter mocked, "It hurts so much." Porosalino's mouth opened slightly. "Young man, you're lying. I thought that Porosalino would help defuse the fire, but unfortunately Marco helped defend him." Kurosawa's eyes flashed, and the next moment, in the sky where Whitebeard punched hard, the sky was like a layer of tape covering the water flow, and suddenly an oval protruded inward, and then the cracks on it spread. Come on, the space is expanding under this earthquake force. A sudden rebound of terrifying fluctuations that could destroy the world. Boom boom boom. The manic vibrating power mixed with the air waves formed a huge impact wave visible to the naked eye, roaring towards Kurosawa like a huge wave. Kurosawa, Huo Shaoshan shouted in panic. In his haste, even if he rushed at full speed now, it was already too late. Of course, even if Huo Shaoshan came and faced such an angry attack from Whitebeard, the outcome would probably be extremely miserable. Boss. Miguel also looked ugly. That was Whitebeard's attack. Both Sengoku and Garp clenched their teeth, and the latter even clenched his fists. Is Marine's future going to end like this? Under the execution platform, Sakazuki watched Whitebeard take action, but he did not choose to intercept it. As a Marine general, he naturally has his own considerations. When facing the enemy coach's furious attack, he should avoid his sharp edge and wait until he relaxes before giving him a fatal blow. Instead of taking action blindly. Only in this way can the chance of winning the war be greatly improved. For this reason, Sakazuki would rather give up a rising Marine star that has not yet risen, but also maximize the benefits at any cost. Kurosawa, your sacrifice is worth it. Boom. The violent waves of power are as if they are pressing down from the top of the sky. Such a sense of oppression will even slow down the brain's thoughts and reactions. Kurosawa stood still. Now he could understand why many strong men in One Piece did not dodge when faced with the enemy's ultimate move, but instead used it hard. Because there is no way to avoid it. Maybe there are blessings from the rules of the world, but unfortunately, Kurosawa is not included in this. Such a long distance is not enough to immobilize the current Kurosawa. There is a glimmer of light in the blue eyes. Just when Kurosawa is about to teleport to avoid it, an icy blue figure stood in front of him, and a bone-chilling chill radiated from Kuzan's body. Even if it was not deliberately aimed at Kurosawa, the coldness was enough to slow down the energy in the latter's body. Ice Age. Kuzan's expression was solemn, his hands turned into ice, and the coldness gushing out was even worse than the Ice Age move he just launched. Kakakaka. The extremely cold ice collided with the powerful wave of fluctuations, and the extreme chill actually froze even the shaking domineering energy. But as soon as it froze, it was shattered by the shock that followed. The two energies clashed in midair, but obviously, Kuzan's ice seemed to be suppressed. Ah la la, brother Kurosawa, you better get out of the way. I'm going to dodge too. As he spoke, half of Kuzan's cheeks began to become elemental, and the overwhelming energy was about to break through his ice. Hearing this, Kurosawa no longer hesitated, and left in a blink of an eye. When he reappeared, he had already left the range of the move, probably. Ah la la, it flashes so fast. Seeing that Kurosawa had left, Kuzan's body immediately turned into ice. The next moment, the Ice Age without Kuzan's maintenance collapsed instantly. Whitebeard's angry blow, which had been consumed a lot, entered the battlefield. Boom. The astonishing energy wave fell straight down, like a water cube wave hitting the earth, shaking out square energy ripples. Buzz. In an instant, the ice exploded, and a large number of sailors were involved. The violent energy shattered all their internal organs and bones almost instantly. No one below the rank of lieutenant general survived. In the sky, Porosalino glanced down, his expression unreadable. Ah, this is not good. Marco, who was confronting him, had a confident smile on his face. Who dared you to anger Daddy? That's our king. Sakazuki looked at the smiling white beard in the sky, his eyes gradually sinking. Warring States was relieved when he saw Kuzan taking action to save Kurosawa, but he still couldn't help but sigh after seeing the wide-reaching attack. Whitebeard, even after so long, are you still so powerful? Garp also sighed. Kurosawa, it's still too early for you to face Whitebeard. It's okay. Huo Shaoshan gritted his teeth and raised his hands to block the sweeping wind, with deep fear in his eyes. On the ice, a guy holding a shield in his left hand and a spear in his right held his shield in front of him, and then a gust of wind swept past. Speedo Kill felt the power. Such a long distance can bring violent winds. I can't imagine what it would be like to be hit from the front. I am truly worthy of my father. Speedo Kill had a smile on his face and was not aware of the black-haired figure behind him. With a flash of dark red light, darkness directly penetrated Speedo Kill's body. In his horrified eyes, the curse power surged on the sharp blade of darkness, as if he felt pain from hell in an instant, spread throughout the body. Before Speedo Kill could scream, his eyes changed from horror to despair. The blood-red curse turned into a spiral airflow and condensed on the blade. Kurosawa's voice sounded behind him, like a devil whispering in his ear. Spell reversal H. Fang. Speedo Kill's body trembled violently, and a stream of red light burst out from the dark blade, heading straight towards Whitebeard. The Whitebeard that was falling in the sky turned his head and saw an extremely fast red stream of light coming from the billowing smoke. The red light quickly enlarged in Whitebeard's eyes. In desperation, he caught a glimpse of a pair of blue eyes staring at him from the corner of his eye behind the thick smoke that emitted red light. The next moment, red light penetrated Whitebeard's chest. Marco's angry roar sounded on the battlefield. Dad. Well, Speedo Kill's eyes gradually became distracted, and Whitebeard's shocked face quickly became distorted in his eyes. The feeling of death quickly spread throughout his body, blocking out the pain that felt like being in hell. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully killing Speedo Kill. Received a 100 million level bounty value of 45,600 points. Dad. Who attacked? At this moment, no one felt sad for the death of Speedo Kill. All the pirates' eyes were focused on Whitebeard in the sky. That flash of red light passed through quickly, leaving a shocking blood hole on Whitebeard's shoulder. Boom. Reversal of the technique. After he passed through Whitebeard's shoulder, it shot out a long way, and then released a violent explosion. A drop of cold sweat seeped out from Bybird's forehead. The severe pain made him want to grin. Fortunately, he managed to maintain his facial expression with his strong willpower. With a thud, Whitebeard's figure fell to the ground, bringing up a puff of smoke and dust. His eyes were fixed on Kurosawa, and there was actually a smile on his lips. Gu la la la. Even though the aftermath of the shock wave created by Whitebeard blocked his sight, there were still sharp-eyed experts who noticed this scene. Doflamingo laughed loudly, and his expression became more and more excited. Boya Hancock's beautiful eyes narrowed, and his mouth couldn't help but open slightly. The blow from Whitebeard just now was obviously aimed at Kurosawa. Facing the four emperors Whitebeard's attack, this man not only was not injured, but was able to counterattack while Whitebeard showed his flaws, and even took advantage of the chaos to kill one of Whitebeard's squad captains. Boya Hancock's eyes lit up. He had never heard of such a man before. Bartholomew Big Bear on the side couldn't help but admire that amazing speed and power, finding opportunities in such a short period of time, and having strong combat power to support him in completing this surprise attack, even if it were me. Hawkeye's Mahawk's double pupils are constantly shrinking, as if they want to see through everything in Kurosawa. This kid is starting to become even more elusive to me. At this time, on a piece of ice, kakaka. A line of ice condensed into a human shape with a crisp sound, hu. Kuzan exhaled a cold breath, and couldn't stop admiring in his eyes. Brother Kurosawa, ah, well done. Huo Shaoshan and many other lieutenant generals also saw this scene. Among them was a lieutenant general who had just fought against Speedo Kill. That Speedo Kill was killed just like that. Whitebeard's captain of the 14th Division. If there was anything else, the lieutenant general was too embarrassed to say it. In the brief fight just now, Speedo Kill suppressed him and beat him. And now Kurosawa has killed this guy without saying a word. Doesn't it mean that Kurosawa also has the ability to kill him instantly? I'm just a recruit. Do you want to be so perverted? How can you fool around in the future? Many elite lieutenant generals all had uncertain looks in their eyes. Huo Shaoshan chuckled and said shamelessly, as expected of the soldiers who came out of my training camp, they have perfectly inherited my style. Ha ha, it's just a bargain. Does it have anything to do with you? Huo Shaoshan. The flying squirrel not far away couldn't stand it and exposed it without any politeness. Miguel looked at Kurosawa with bright eyes, the longing in his heart became stronger, and his fighting spirit immediately rose. Boss is so powerful, I will never lose face in training camp number 2. Woo, it's so scary. Is this the strongest man in the world? Kebi was so frightened by the terrifying fluctuations that he sat down on the ground. At this time, he could no longer distinguish the battlefield situation. Even though the Marines now have the upper hand, Kirby's legs are still shaking from the fright of the Marine soldiers who continue to fall in front of him. Balloombo saw Kirby like this. Although he was very scared, he still stepped forward and tried to pull Kirby up. Cheer up, Kirby. You are the man who wants to become Marine General. How can you fall here? Quote. That's right. Kirby seemed to have remembered the belief in his heart after hearing this, and immediately stood up. What you said about severely injuring Whitebeard, I think it is clearly the Sengoku Fleet Admiral who is biased. He can make such a statement. How could the attacking Whitebeard be injured by Kurosawa? I must cheer up. I will never lose to a guy like Kurosawa. Balloomber frowned when he heard Kirby's words, but he couldn't directly refute anything. Suddenly, his eyes suddenly shrank and he shouted quickly. Kirby, get out of the way. Before Balloom could finish his words, a raging slash came from nowhere and flew directly past Kirby's side. Your hands. What? The confused Kirby just stood up and felt as if some liquid was sprinkled on his cheek. He saw Balloom look at his right hand with a horrified look on his face. Kirby reacted belatedly. He turned his head and looked at his bloody right arm in disbelief. Where is my hand? Then he touched it with his hand, and severe pain instantly hit his brain. Ah! Kirby burst into heart-rending screams and then fainted. A few seconds ago, a figure in a gentleman's tuxedo held two swords and headed towards Kurosawa. Heel. Watching Kurosawa pull out darkness from Speedo Kill's body expressionlessly, Beasta's mood was extremely gloomy at this moment. You guy, not only did you attack Dad, but you also chopped off Fosa and Kill. Today, either you die or I die. Hey, long time no see, but you don't look well. Kurosawa looked at Beasta with a smile on his face. At this time, the latter had some burnt spots on his body, and his neat tuxedo was now a bit tattered. I guess it was a bit uncomfortable after eating the magma fireball and blue ice ball just now. Stop talking nonsense, I'm going to kill you right now. The expression he received from Kurosawa seemed to Beasta to be a naked mockery of him. If he had been able to quickly deal with Kurosawa before, then everything after that would never have happened. This was all caused by his mistakes, and he had to make things right. Rose Flying Flower. Beasta's double swords flicked out a large number of sparks, and the sharp sword energy merged with the domineering energy to form a flying air flow with a little flame light, slashing towards Kurosawa quickly. Not bad speed, Kurosawa praised softly, then dodged and avoided it. Beasta naturally knew Kurosawa's thorny side, and understood that his sword could not solve it so easily. After quickly releasing the flying slash, he stepped on his feet and burst out towards the fastest speed. Kurosawa rushed in. After you dodge, that's your flaw. Beasta's eyes were confident, and he relied on his many years of combat experience to determine Kurosawa's foothold in advance, and quickly approached. This knife will be your death. Rose Rondo. Kurosawa looked at the sharp and stinging sword energy and just smiled. If you take action against me, your coach's situation doesn't look good. Hearing this, Beasta, who was originally firm in his goal, wavered. The corner of his eye unconsciously glanced to the side, and then his pupils suddenly shrank. Whitebeard is facing a righteous attack from Kizaru, Akainu, and Aokiji. On the execution platform, Sengoku's eyes lit up. He saw that Whitebeard's angry attack not only failed to work, but revealed a flaw, and Kurosawa took the opportunity to injure him. From Sengoku's point of view, it is not the point that Kurosawa killed a white-bearded captain. The point is, a strong man of Whitebeard's level would actually show his flaws by attacking Kurosawa. This war has just begun. Wouldn't that mean that Whitebeard's combat power is very different from what he was at his peak back then? A ray of wisdom shines in the eyes. Whitebeard, are you no match for time? A smile appeared on the corner of Warring State's lips. Maybe today, Whitebeard might die from this. Dad. Ace choked with sobs. He was speechless due to the huge emotional impact. In the past, his father could avoid sneak attacks even in his sleep. How could he make so many mistakes in a row today? Originally looking at Whitebeard's handsome opening, Ace thought that his father's physical condition had improved, but now it seems that this is not the case at all. Dad's physical condition is not very optimistic. In the air, Marco's eyes were fixed on the unruly Porosalino in front of him, but his mind drifted back to before the battle. In order to boost morale, Whitebeard removed all the needles and hanging bottles all over his body. It seems now, Dad's health is deteriorating much faster than imagined. Oh, this is a little bit unexpected. Young Junior. Porosalino's lips curved into an unknown smile. You seem to be a little absent-minded, face me. Don't get carried away, Kizaru. Marco's soles turned into sharp claws, which ignited with blue flames and strong domineering energy, and he kicked Porosalino in the lower abdomen. Phoenix Seal. Chang. The bright golden sword was placed in front of Porosalino, and the overbearing power impact on Marco's sharp claws was completely resisted. A gust of whoop centered around the collision of the two and spread to all sides, spreading waves. Russolino's cloak of justice blew wildly. Tian Kong Yun sword. Porosalino still spoke slowly, but Marco still sensed the difference with his powerful knowledge and domineering power. Kizaru seems to be serious. Marco's eyes were extremely solemn. He had been distractedly observing the battlefield and also noticed that the fiery red figure under the execution platform had disappeared. At the same time, an icy blue figure was also moving rapidly. Aokiji's target is his father. It would be fine if he were a single general, but it would be terrible if that Akainu's target is also his father. In addition to Sengoku being able to tell that something was wrong with Whitebeard's condition, generals who are top combat power also have battlefield sensitivity. Now is the best time for Whitebeard to defeat him in one fell swoop. On the ice, a thorn of ice was rushing towards Whitebeard at an extremely fast speed. Wherever it passed, the pirates were instantly frozen into ice sculptures, unable to resist. Aokiji Imp. Whitebeard looked at the ice thorn that was attacking him, with a calm and confident expression on his face. He saw his right hand holding Kong Yunchi high, and then slashed it down with one strike. Buzz. Boom kaka kaka. A wave of impact knife cracked the ground. Kuzan looked calm. He was controlling his elemental body to shuttle rapidly across the ice. He could easily avoid Whitebeard's knife, but behind him were hundreds of marine soldiers. He can avoid it, but these ordinary soldiers are bound to die. Ala. Ice saber. Two huge ice blades condensed instantly, colliding with Whitebeard's impact knife wave, ka. The ice saber shattered, and the impact knife wave condensed. Kuzan's offensive was also briefly forced to stop. Just as Whitebeard was about to raise a smile, he suddenly felt the fiery red falling from the sky above his head. Whitebeard looked up and saw the ball of hot lava, slamming down on him with the momentum to melt everything. Whitebeard, go to hell. Sakazuki gritted his teeth, and his entire lower body turned into lava. His right fist contained the power of falling from the sky and emitted a red death light. Coupled with the powerful domineering force, it exploded towards Whitebeard's head. Bang! Kai! The muscles of Whitebeard's arms bulged like a horned dragon, and the blade of Kong Yun's cutting blade was condensed with vibrating force and violent domineering force, and collided with Sakazuki's fist. Boom! Two rays of energy, one red and one white, seemed to divide two worlds, dividing the white-bearded Sakazuki's figure. Vibrated by the violent surge of energy. Both bodies were bearing the huge impact from each other at this moment, especially Sakazuki. Facing the power of Whitebeard's vibration, his body was shaking like a river. Whitebeard also felt uncomfortable. The high temperature of the lava seemed to incinerate everything, and the ice around him began to melt rapidly. If this continues, he will fall into the sea first. While Whitebeard was fighting with the two generals, Marco also wanted to quickly support him, but Porosalino, who always liked paddling, started to use his strength at this time. Don't look around. Buzz. The golden light lit up, and Porosalino held the Tiankongyun sword. An extremely sharp aura instantly emitted from it, and the powerful force instantly shook Marco's body half a meter away. Then Porosalino did not pause, and then came kicked out at the speed of light. Marco knew very well that Porosalino could not interfere in the battle with Whitebeard at this time, so he had no choice but to protect his wings in front of him. Bang! There was a terrifying energy explosion, and Marco relied on the regeneration of the immortal flames to absorb the damage from this blow, so he was not kicked away. How long can you carry it? Porosalino refused to give up. The Tiankongyun sword in his hand shone brightly. The sword slipped and cut off one of Marco's wings. Then his body turned into particles of light and flashed to Marco's head. Then a bowl-shaped wide laser beam was condensed and shot down. Buzz. Faced with such an attack, even Marco had to be suppressed to the ground and a violent explosion broke out. After Porosalino finished doing this, he took a deep breath and flashed towards the white beard. Hurry up and cover Daddy. Marco quickly climbed up from the ruins, burning with immortal fire, and shouted hurriedly as soon as he recovered. The other crew members of the Whitebeard pirates were also shocked at this moment. Dad is being beaten by General Marine. Go help. Where are the captains? I'll do it. Josie shouted loudly. His movements were not cumbersome at all despite his burly body. He shook the ice with his feet and flew low on the ice with the huge recoil force. It's like a human cannonball, shot out at extremely fast speed. At the same time, the other Whitebeard captains also showed their true skills and went to help Whitebeard. For a time, the pressure on Marine suddenly increased. The climax of the war seems to be coming early. When Foil Beasta saw Whitebeard being surrounded, he naturally would not sit idly by and ignore it. He resisted the urge to chop Kurosawa in his heart, turned around and rushed towards Whitebeard's direction. Seeing this, Kurosawa curled his lips and said, "Now everyone's attention on the battlefield is focused on Whitebeard, which means that characters like Marco and Josie who can entangle him can't distract him. The other captains are no match for him, and they are busy supporting Whitebeard, so they must have exposed many flaws. Now is a great time to harvest the bounty value." Bringing up the system panel, Kurosawa looked at the bounty value that had satisfied the upgrade and smiled slightly. So, hunting time. At the same time, a huge figure stepped into the bay of Marine Vendome with a startling step. "Ace, I'm here to save you." The atmosphere of war is rising, and increasingly fierce attacks continue to be blasted on the battlefield. On the execution platform, Zhang Guo frowned. The premonition in his heart became stronger and stronger. It seemed that the plan to execute Ace in advance should be changed. In the waters outside Marinefando, the Whitebeard pirates' large fleet was just preparing to engage in a close encounter with the 50 warships outside the bay. However, on the battlefield in the inner bay, Whitebeard had already taken action in advance, allowing them to occupy a huge military advantage in a short period of time. Sengoku's brain is running rapidly. As the supreme commander of Marine in this war, he must make the most correct decision in the shortest time. Beads of sweat fell down from Ace's forehead. At this moment, he looked at the battlefield in the distance, his expression even uglier than when he was defeated by Blackbeard. "Dad, it's all because of me. I'm too weak." Seeing his former partners fall down one by one trying to save him, and his most respected father, Whitebeard, being besieged by the 3 Marine generals and put in danger, Ace couldn't help but regret his reckless behavior at this moment. Looking at Whitebeard's struggling expression, Warring States thought about it for a while and finally decided that he didn't want to miss this golden opportunity to besiege Whitebeard. He grabbed the phone bug and started spitting, and roared vigorously. "Everyone, do your best to block the reinforcements from the captains of the Whitebeard pirates. Make sure to create opportunities for the generals. Kill Whitebeard in one fell swoop and let the world witness the glory of our Marine." Oh, hearing the roar of the Warring States Fleet Admiral, 100,000 Marine elites were equally powerful, with an unprecedented murderous look in their eyes. Looking at this scene, Warring States was very satisfied. "Kurosawa, it's all thanks to you." Sengoku withdrew his gaze from Kurosawa, and then he picked up a specially made phone bug, with firm eyes and a mouthful of words. "Pacifists, move out." Faced with the sudden change in the battlefield situation, Sengoku's decision was to play all his cards and give it a go. At this time, Marie Joa and the 5 elders also received the news the moment the Warring States order was given. Sardin, the god of scientific defense, frowned. "Are you using pacifists so soon? But the situation on the battlefield is constantly changing, so we should give them a little more trust." The remaining 5 elders were a little silent until the financial god of war spoke first, but what he cared about was somewhat different. "This Kurosawa is not simple. After this battle, there will be even fewer people in the government who can restrain him." As he spoke, the old eyes of the financial god of war stared at Kurosawa's dark red blade on the screen, with a flash of greed deep in his eyes. The rest of the 5 elders can probably guess what the financial god of war says. "If it can't be used by us, the Marine Nova performed extremely well in the battle with the Whitebeard pirates, but it left a hidden disease and died heroically in the end. What do you think? Let's see again." All over the world, the huge war taking place in Marinevento is being broadcast in real time through Marine's video phone bug, not only the big screen in the main area, or the ultra-clear 1080p special feed of the country's nobles. This war, which can peak the world's structure, is presented to the world in this complete way. Is this the strength of Marine headquarters? It's too strong. The legendary 3 Marine generals are really terrifying. They can actually beat Whitebeard. And that Marine starlet, his combat power seems to be as good as that of a general. Yes, the terror of this new Marine star Kurosawa is simply unexpected. I wonder if you have noticed that Kurosawa was the first man to hurt Whitebeard. And not long after the war started, we killed 2 white-bearded captains. We fought with Marco, the captain of the first team, and Bista, the captain of the 5th team, and they were not at a disadvantage. On the big tree in Sabayati, Rayleigh's eyes followed Kurosawa almost the whole time. After Kurosawa released that shot of hollow style, there was nothing superfluous in his next actions. Every step dealt a painful blow to the Whitebeard pirates. Rayleigh couldn't help but murmured in a low voice. Not only did Whitebeard end early, but he even took advantage of the flaw to injure him. It also indirectly restrained Marco and Bista, hiss. The more Rayleigh thought about it, the more surprised he became. If a few days ago he was still worried about the end of the great pirate era after the rise of Kurosawa, now, he has confirmed this guess in his heart. Captain Roger, isn't the tide of time on our side? Quote. Look what that is. Are you kidding me? This guy is bigger than the giants. Could it be the legendary island-stealing clan, the demons? Boom, boom. With loud noises, Little Oz strode closer with a huge straw hat on his head. His skin is dark green and his body is so huge that even the Marine giant Lieutenant General would look as weak as a human cub in front of him. Ace, I'm here to save you. Along with Little Oz's roar, he glanced at the warships on the side, and stretched out his big hands in the horrified eyes of the Marine soldiers. The hard skin was not even afraid of gun attacks. Fire! Fire! No matter how the shell exploded, it did not hinder Little Oz's movements. Kaka! He grabbed the small mountain-sized warship. This military equipment, which had always frightened the pirates, was actually used by Little Oz as a brick and was thrown towards another warship. Boom! Just one move caused terrible damage to Marine. Oz the Devil Jr. The bounty is 444 million Baileys. Let us, the Lieutenant General of the Giant Clan, deal with such a guy. Several giants, led by Rakulova, directly faced Little Oz. The giant lieutenants held giant blades. They always relied on their size as an advantage in fighting. They never thought that one day they would be suppressed in this regard. Come on, demon, kill them, Little Oz. Amidst the shouts of the crowd, Rakulova was the first to attack. When his feet stepped on the ice, numerous cracks were created. After jumping up, he slashed down the giant blade in his hand. No one among the giants can take my blow. Die. The sword flashed, and Little Oz just glanced at it with disdain, then casually slashed out the giant blade in his hand. Chang! Huge power came back from the knife. Rakulova's eyes were unbelievable. You actually surpass me in strength. Before Rakulova could stabilize his body, Little Oz slashed out with several more knives. Clang, clang, clang. Crack! Rakulova's giant blade was chopped into pieces by several knives, and the broken blade was knocked to an unknown place by Little Oz's huge force. Under the horrified gaze of the former, Little Oz mercilessly swung the last knife to finish it off. Lieutenant General Rakulova. With no time to mourn, the other giant lieutenant generals saw this and stepped forward to attack, but the outcome was even more tragic. They all had their weapons knocked away by the first blow, and they were not even able to catch the second blow. Little Oz, the weak guy is not worthy of being my opponent. The moment he saw Little Oz, Mariah was about to smile. Especially after witnessing Little Oz effortlessly chop down several giant lieutenants, his expectations had reached their peak. He. Demon, my demon, with such a perfect body, as long as I make you into the strongest demon zombie, I will be invincible. Bartholomew Big Bear glanced at the distant bay and stepped forward. It's our turn to take action. Boya Hancock in purple robe is sitting on the python. Go, I wanted to meet that man in person, but I actually injured Luffy. This is simply unforgivable. Of the 5-7 warlords of the sea, only Mihawk and Doflamingo have yet to take action. Foo. Mihawk, why don't you take action? Are you really planning to watch a show this time? Smiling, Doflamingo walked out with his hands in his pockets and a figure-footed step. He was really itching to watch this fierce battle, and it was time to move around. Mihawk was speechless, but glanced at Kurosawa from time to time. He was looking forward to seeing what kind of surprises this young man could bring to this war. Have even the giant lieutenants been killed with one blow? What kind of monster is this? I'm afraid this demon can only be solved by the action of the generals. But the generals are busy dealing with Whitebeard, and the elite lieutenant generals are also blocking the captain, so they can't get away at all. Countless Marines looked terrified. The giant devil in front of them was so big that they couldn't even see it completely. To them, it was like a natural disaster, completely unstoppable. But what made them relieved was that Little Oz did not turn his target towards them. Little Oz looked somewhere, and there was a black-haired figure there, harvesting the lives of ordinary pirates like a lawnmower wherever it passed. With one step, Little Oz headed towards Kurosawa. Billion level bounty value. 76,700 points. System, give me more. Looking at the large number of skills on the panel, Kurosawa still decisively chose to increase the skill level of the natural fighter first. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully injecting 5 trillion level bounty value. The natural fighter has been upgraded to LV4. Natural fighter LV4 perfectly combines and uses abilities not higher than this skill level in combat. Using skills of the same level will gain a 75% bonus. Low-level skills will gain a 150% bonus. Closing square bracket. Compared with the previous 25% bonus for level 1 improvement, the bonus increased from LV3 to LV4 to 50%. And skills of the same level also have a huge increase of up to 75%. Don't underestimate these bonuses. If the Kyushu style released at Whitebeard can increase by 50%, the price Whitebeard will pay is not just tattered clothes and residual magic power on his arms. It's easy. Kurosawa smiled with satisfaction. System, keep adding more points. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully injecting 1 trillion level bounty value. Technique 8 has been upgraded to LV3. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully injecting 500 billion level bounty value. Physical skills have been upgraded to LV4. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully injecting 500 billion level bounty value. Armed color domineering upgraded to LV4. Normal bounty value, 3,200 points. Billion level bounty value, 6,700 points. Seeing that the bounty value has bottomed out, the wallet that I had just swollen up is now shrinking. Kurosawa couldn't help but sigh. Could it be that the fruits of all his hard work were so careless? What Kurosawa felt in his heart was unknown to outsiders. All they saw was Kurosawa's crazy killing on the battlefield. He almost single-handedly blocked a gap in the charging formation of the Whitebeard pirates. No pirates in the area survived. Kurosawa, the rising star of Marine, is incredible. No wonder Sengoku Fleet Admiral wants to promote him so much. The gap in strength between him and us is not even a tiny bit. Amidst the exclamations of the Marine soldiers, Huo Shaoshan, who was fighting fiercely with the captain of the 7th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, had already discovered the danger. His face was ugly, and out of the corner of his eye, a huge thing was approaching Kurosawa. Then the demon's target shouldn't be Kurosawa. Why did Lousy get entangled with this Lousy? You showed so much strength just now, don't stop it so soon. Kurosawa. Huo Shaoshan looked unhappy and could only pray in his heart. The guy in front of him was holding a huge iron chain hammer in his hand. His moves had a wide range and great power, and he was very difficult to deal with. Even if Huo Shaoshan tried his best, he was unable to do anything in a short time. Lucio also felt the same way. Why is this fool Lieutenant General so difficult to deal with? Dad is still waiting for me to rescue him. But soon, Lakyo also noticed Huo Shaoshan's gaze and discovered that Little Oz was heading towards Kurosawa. Lakyo sneered. Want to save him? Just wait until Little Oz chops him into pieces, then go collect the body. On the execution platform, Ace watched Little Oz approaching step by step, and memories flashed through his mind. What if Little Ozzy faced the now tired Kurosawa? Maybe it can work. Information about the demon clan flashed through Sengoku's mind, and he frowned slightly. The power of this race, should not be underestimated. Garp, who had been sitting at the back, looked at Little Oz and couldn't help but clench his fists. Hee, this guy should be able to give me a few punches. Kurosawa, how are you going to deal with him? Whoa, another casual kill was enough to complete the double kill. Kurosawa looked away from Miguel and curled his mouth. The growth is not bad, I will start to achieve today's small goals. Miguel is now able to fight a 50-50 fight with a pirate who has a bounty of 4 million Baileys. Although he has lost his fortune, this is a necessary process to become a strong man. At this moment, a voice came from the sky. You were the one who injured Daddy. Before rescuing Ace, let's get rid of you first. A huge shadow fell, and a large area around Kurosawa became dark. Colonel Kurosawa, be careful. Amidst the reminders from the Marine soldiers, Kurosawa calmly raised his head, and Little Oz was holding a huge machete and had already cut off half of it. Kurosawa smiled and disappeared. Let's start with you. Boa Hancock rode a python, and when she encountered any obstacle, whether it was a marine or a pirate, she used her fragrant feet to clear it away. She quickly approached Kurosawa, and then she saw a scene that she would never forget. Why did that demon attack this Kurosawa? At the same time, not far away, Moria screamed strangely. His face was shocked and happy at the same time, and he was already thinking about the bright future in his mind. If I can cooperate with the Majin to kill or seriously injure this fool, then steal his shadow and make it into the strongest Majin zombie. I will be the strongest Shichibukai in the future. Thinking of this, Moria controlled the shadow to spew out and prepared to attack Kurosawa. However, the next second, the joy on Moria's face suddenly solidified. Jutsu 8. Buzz. Dark red light exploded in the sky, and a large amount of blood sprayed out from the demon's neck, pouring down like a real waterfall. Bite. The power of the slash is too strong. He actually cut off that devil's head with one knife. I didn't expect that Colonel Kurosawa's swordsmanship was so strong. No wonder he was so indistinguishable from that foil sword beasta. Under the astonished gazes of countless Marine soldiers, the huge demon head flew high into the air, its expression still maintaining the same arrogance as when it was chopped down with a knife. Little Oz. Little Ozzy was beheaded with a knife. What a joke. A large amount of blood was sprinkled on the faces of the pirates. The scene was like a giant evil spirit weeping blood and then dumping the scarlet wine jar at the feet of the ants. Kurosawa's figure was suspended in the sky, a pair of blue eyes looking indifferently at the pirate below. Kurosawa, with this appearance, in the eyes of the pirates, is the arrogant god of killing. Not to mention ordinary pirate crews, even the small bosses with a bounty of nearly 80 million, their legs were shaking after seeing this, and their psychological defenses were close to collapse. How dare you look around? With an angry shout, Miguel saw the opportunity and took advantage of the pirate's distraction to finish him off with a single blow. Thanks to the huge fear that Kurosawa brought to the Whitebeard pirates, Miguel had a moment to breathe. So strong, boss. The same scene happened on the battlefield. Because of Kurosawa's powerful power, Oz instantly destroyed the pirates' fighting spirit. On the battlefield at this moment, the battle between ordinary Marine soldiers and pirates is gradually gaining the upper hand. You are the one who should collect the body, right? Huo Shaoshan blocked Rakjo's hammer with a shaking sword, and the latter's face became extremely ugly because of the death of Little Oz. Very good. I can concentrate on dealing with you from now on. Huo Shaoshan's expression was cold, and his domineering attitude began to flow out as if he was free of charge. The other lieutenant generals also took advantage of the opponent's shock and began to launch a fierce attack. For a time, the war situation was very good for Marine. Kurosawa is such a good boy. Even I think this knife looks a little cool. Garp waved his fist, and a smile finally appeared on his face. Ace and Luffy are so careless, but Kurosawa, you will definitely become the best Marine. Garp has made up his mind to ensure Kurosawa's smooth growth within Marine. You actually took Little Oz. Don't let me catch you, otherwise I will crush you to ashes. On the execution platform, Ace clenched his teeth in hatred and stared at Kurosawa with his eyes. If eyes could kill, Kurosawa would have been killed countless times. Sengoku on the side kept looking at the whole scene. The changes on the battlefield caused by Kurosawa made Sengoku surprised and happy. Can you kill a demon instantly with one sword? The power of this slash, the swordsmanship seems to be even better than at the meeting that day. This guy can bring me many more surprises. On the ice, with the sound of boom, the huge demon head fell from a high place. It already had an extremely amazing weight and directly smashed the ice surface into a deep depression under the gravitational potential. This fool actually beheaded my strongest zombie. Moriya's eyes were instantly bloodshot, but when he turned his angry gaze to Kurosawa, the cold light of the dark blade brought him back to reality. Why did this fool's swordsmanship become so terrible? If he had been hit by such a slash that day. Moriya couldn't help but recall that at the meeting that day, the wound on her arm began to hurt, and her eyes became frightened. Forget it, I'll graciously spare his life. Although his head will be beheaded, with Huogubik here, the repairs can still be used. Phew, foo-foo. Chop off the demon's head with one knife, it's getting more and more interesting. Doflamingo walked on the battlefield with his hands in his pockets. This appearance naturally attracted the attention of many pirates, but everyone who wanted to get close to him, without exception, all began to kill each other inexplicably. The unique development of the thread fruit allows Doflamingo to have strong command capabilities on such a battlefield. It's a good thing that such a guy is not an opponent, otherwise it would be a headache. Doflamingo withdrew his gaze from Kurosawa and looked for the captain of the Whitebeard pirates. I'll just let you play a boring pirate game with me. Mihawk crossed his arms, his eyes revealing his undisguised admiration for Kurosawa. The slash just now was something that even a top-notch swordsman could not easily perform. Kurosawa's progress rate far exceeded his imagination. I believe that before long, besides Shanks, he will have another opponent who can compete with him. Mihawk couldn't help but recall what Kurosawa said to him, and the anticipation in his heart became stronger. I'll be waiting for you on the most powerful throne in the world. Such a slash. Boya Hancock's eyes became extremely gloomy. The slash that Kurosawa just used to kill Oz instantly was something he had seen Rayleigh use in the same way. No matter what, those who dare to attack my beloved Luffy must pay the price. You woman, aren't you Shichibukai? Why did you attack our marine? Seeing Boya Hancock petrifying marines and pirates without distinguishing between friend and foe, the marines angrily shouted at him. However, Boya Hancock didn't care about this and petrified another marine soldier with one kick. Boya Hancock raised his head to the sky and looked down at everyone with the huge pair of truths. No matter what I do, I will be forgiven, because my beauty is unparalleled in the world. Since everyone is dead, then I can only forgive you. Yes, heart. After all, what else can you do besides forgive? All the sailors disarmed one after another. Seeing this, Boya Hancock felt even more disdainful for the man. A bunch of rabble, only Luffy is the most special. Although this Kurosawa is extremely dangerous, even if I am defeated, he will definitely not do anything to me. In the end, he will be conquered by my beauty. Boya Hancock's eyes are extremely confident, and after so many years, the fact is that no one will take action against her after she shows kindness. This is why the Pirate Empress is determined. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing Oz Jr. and receiving a billion level bounty of 44,400 points. Billion level bounty value, 51,100 points. With the addition of the level 4 natural fighter, the level 3 technique 8 is superimposed with the level 4 armed color hockey. Even if it cannot be perfectly combined with the level 5 swordsmanship, it is still quite easy to cut off the head of the demon Oz. Very good. I have to say that except for such a large-scale 4 Emperors pirate group, it is probably difficult to gather such a large number of pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. Kurosawa slowly fell back to the ground, his eyes sweeping over the white-bearded captains one by one. At this time, in Kurosawa's eyes, they were no longer notorious pirates, but huge moving treasure houses. Kurosawa felt a burst of joy, and even couldn't bear it. He wanted to harvest the bounty value of these people in advance. It's better to leave the sure kill moves to Whitebeard. If you are prepared, it will be difficult to succeed. Comparing the 5 billion and 46 million Baileys with these hundreds of millions of bounties, Kurosawa can still handle it clearly. You bold and rude person. Take my concubine's body and kick it. Fragrant feet. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.